real quick. Let me bust this down. All right. So, the dude that got the church that say 28:19. Let me talk about that real quick, bro. All right. So, going to church or coming up in the church or coming up as a child, we had to go to church every single Sunday. And it was certain scriptures that was embedded in our brain. John 3:16, 23rd Psalms, Mathew 28:19. That's the name of his church, right? Those type of scriptures were embedded in our brain for a reason. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Now, as you grow up, you learn things that you learned in Christianity was false. So you're like, hold on. Just like when you went to school and they told you Christopher Columbus discovered America and you growed up and found out that was fake, right? It's the same thing with Christianity. You figured that out. You're like, hold on. This don't add up and this don't add up because you got a little bit of sense, right? So you're like, this don't add up. So when you find out Christianity is fake, you don't know where to go from now. Guess where you end up? You end up over there in Egyptology. You end up with the unk on your skin. Or you end up over there in Islam. You talking about Hamdallah and all that. That's where you end up, right? When you don't know the origin of that and you don't know the origin of that. That's why y'all end up over there. And it's understandable because you don't have the real understanding of the book. You came from a lie. You come from Christianity. It's a lie, right? So that's why you end up over there. But then if I ask you, hey, who started Islam? You cannot tell me that. Or if I ask you, hey, give me one prophecy that's in the Quran, you cannot give me that. You talking about the Hadith and all that. No, we ain't want to hear that. I say the Quran. You understand? I done seen IUIC break them people down 51,000 times, 51,000 different ways. It come out to the same exact ending every single time, bro. Every single time. They don't have the understanding of the book. And any other count, you can watch any other count that teach the Bible, bro. They'll break down any person in Islam. Any Muslim that come up, they'll break them down and show you that ain't the real deal, bro. So, but I understand why some of our people over there, they do read. So I give them that. But they don't have the whole understanding. But then you got some people go over there to Egyptology. We already know the spirit of those people too, right? Because first thing they're going to say is, well, who wrote the Bible? That's the first thing they're going to say, bro. But you reading an Ethiopian book when you not Ethiopian. Let me ask you a question. Who authorized the translation from Ethiopian to English, a language that you speak or learned when you got off the ship? And over here in this land, you learned this language from Englishmen who gave it to your forefathers. That's how you learn English, right? But how did you get the authorization? How did the authorization come from Ethiopian to the language you was given by your slave master, which is English? How you able to read that book? Who authorized the translation of that? Because somehow you think, or somebody told you King James wrote the book and he did not write the book of the Bible. He did not write that. He authorized the translation. So now, that's how now you know how we got it from Hebrew to what you know as English. How did the Ethiopian book get authorized, or who translated or authorized the translation from Ethiopian to English where you can understand it? When you ain't got an Ethiopian friend, never had one in school, you don't speak Ethiopian, you don't eat that Ethiopian food really. When you do, it's like a cuisine to you. You understand? You eat that, you don't eat that like how you eat McDonald's. No, you don't wear Ethiopian clothes, none of that. You don't even listen to Ethiopian music, but somehow you feel like that's who you are. Now, let me throw this in here before I go to the next thing. A lot of our people was left over there in Africa. So it's some of our people who over there in Ethiopian who think they Ethiopian. Just like you over here in America talking about you African American. So let me throw that in there for the people who don't really read. Now, let me get back to what I was saying. So now, the dude in 28:19, right? When our people came from Christianity and they realized that was trash, that was fake, they didn't know where to go. So they ended up in Islam. They ended up in Egyptology. But they didn't realize, or they don't realize, that's not who they really are. They're not from Kemet. That's not who they are. That's not who they are. They don't know the real story. They got a little bit of the artifacts right, or a little bit of the facts right, but they don't have the complete story. They don't know the story. They think they're African. You are not those people. Them people from Ham. You from Shem, fam. You from Shem. So that's a whole nother story, right? Throw this in here real quick. When y'all seen Kyrie up there, bro, and they was talking about he was anti-Semitic and all that type of stuff. When y'all seen Kyrie up there and they was getting on him and they charged him $500,000 and XYZ, man, y'all gotta know it might be a bigger plot to that. Cause why he was saying that with the unk on his ear, bro? He had the unk on his ear when he was saying that. That really mean he really is anti-Semitic. They anti-Shem, bro. So they was really right. I was just showing you, bro, our people don't know who they are. They really don't. It just shows you that. But let me go back in what I was saying. So, because our people don't know who they are, this dude, the Phillip Mitchell dude, he could pull off a 28:19. Because guess what? That scripture been stamped in their head like John 3:16. Just like John 3:16, it been stamped in their head. You understand? When they see 28:19, they know what they say. Just like when they see John 3:16, they know what they say. So it's a reason he used that. If he would have named this church Acts 13:23, they didn't have to go read that because they don't know what that say. If he would have named this church Hebrews 8:8, they would have had to go read that because they don't know what that say. If he would have named his church Obadiah 1:8, 9, and 10, they don't know what that say. They'd have to go read that, right? But he named this church something that's been stamped in their head. Now, the young brother that's under me that came up after my generation, they don't want to hear nothing from your pastor with the long suit longer than his body. They don't want to hear nothing from him. They know he's lying. His voice irritates them. They don't want to hear nothing from him. So guess what? The white man know that. So guess what he did? He went and got somebody who speak their language from their culture, put some Jordans on them, got him in a concert-like atmosphere. Just like Bishop Yabasap said, bro, I did film work too, bro. I know how it works when you do photography and angles and all that to make it look like a boy, like you really saying something. You bigger than who you is. People looking at people on TV that's really this big. You understand? But when you look at them on TV, they make him look bigger than who he is. That's exactly what it is, bro. This man got the angles all up here. He got you looking like this, and you're sliding up through the thing, and all. It's disgusting, bro. It's really bad. It's really, really bad, bro. It's really bad, right? So he can pull this type of stuff out. This man got a whole church, just like Bishop. Y'all, you ain't lying. This man got a whole church, bro. It's pitch black in the church, and he is teaching. He is teaching. How can you read in the dark, bro? How can you read in the dark, bro? How could you do that? They let you know it's no reading going on now. But you feel good. That's what church do. It make you feel good, but you learn nothing. If you want to feel good, you can go to the club for that. You can go do, it's a bunch of things you can do if you just want to feel good. What is you learning, bro? That's why as children right now today, bro, I done seen break down grown people when it comes to the Bible because they don't have no understanding of that. You going to church every Sunday, he reading out the King James, but you leave church and go buy the NIV because you don't understand the King James that he is reading or supposedly be reading. He really not reading. That's why you have to go buy that book. That's why you have to go buy that. He really not reading it to you. He really not reading it to you, bro. It's really, really bad. I understand why some of our people over there in Islam, nobody never gave them the real understanding. Just like your boy Dark Low that's out there in Philadelphia that came up under Arab and all them. You seen he went from what you would call Islam to Hebrew Israelite, because guess what? Somebody pulled on his shirt and gave him the real game. And he was smart enough to sit down and listen, bro. You got to be smart enough to do that. Because if you don't, you're going to fall short, bro. Every single time. Every single time. You're going to run behind a man who do not care about his salvation. You're going to run behind a woman who do not care about her salvation. Who do not, it's bad, bro. It's really bad. The Bible say don't be with nobody who don't follow the laws, bro. That's what it say. That's what relationships supposed to be contingent upon. I can't deal with you if you don't follow this book. I can't deal with her if she don't follow this book. That's how it's supposed to go, bro. But we don't care about none of that. That's why it happened how it happened. That's why stuff happened exactly how it happened, bro. You gonna do it your way, not his way. So when you do it your way, you gotta accept the results of how it go, bro. You gotta accept that because you did it your way. Whatever's in that book is gonna happen, bro. It's gonna happen. But back to the story. So he could get away with 28:19 because our people, that has been stamped in their head and they really don't know what that really means. It just shows you they don't know what nations and nationality mean. They don't know the difference. That's what they really mean. He made that the name of his church. He only did that because he already know that scripture being implanted in our people's head. T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar and all them, they did a good job in destroying the minds of our people. Juanita Binders and all the other pastors who teach that exact same doctrine, they did a wonderful job at destroying the mind of our people. So they did their job, but their time has came and went. Now they got to get the new dude who dress and plays the part, right? So he can carry on the torch. They just passed it on to him. That's all they did, because he speaks the language. He from the culture. He from the culture, right? So guess what? Guess what he doing? He teaching the exact same doctrine they teaching. He just speaking the language of the youth, because he trying to get the new generation. That's his job, and they're gonna pay him well. They're gonna pay him well to do that. To do that. Now, watch this. He know that scripture, this is the Mitchell dude, right? He know that scripture, 28:19, has been stamped in your mama head. It's been stamped in your grandma head, your auntie head, your uncle head, your Uncle Larry and Leroy, who be going to church every single Sunday, and everybody love them, who et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's been stamped in them people's head, and he done passed it down to you. He knows that. That's why he named it 28:19. He know you don't know the difference between nation and nationality. It say go out to all nations. He know you don't know the difference of that. Because if I ask you what's the difference between America and Americans, you don't know what that is, obviously. That's why you fell for 28:19. That's why we know you don't know what that means. We know you don't know what Mathew 28:19 really means, bro, because you don't know the difference. So let me show you real quick again for the 28:19,000th time. Let me show you this again. So it's a difference between Russia and Russians. If I say Russia, that is the nation. If I say Russians, that is the people. If I say America, that is a nation. If I say American, that is the people. He say go out to all nations, bro. Them are places. So he was not talking about people at that time. So now, the people he was talking to, you don't know nothing about that neither. So let me back up the story. So you way down there in Matthew 28:19. You skip 18 verses, bro. So let me go up to verse 1. This is Mary, and Mary went to see after the third day that the Messiah say he was going to return. They went to his grave, bro, and seen the boulder was missing. It had been broken. And the people who was watching his grave, the Romans, they had died. The angel came down and told them, hey, the Messiah say go meet him. And I can't remember where he told them to go meet him at, but he told them, hey, go meet him over there. Go get your brothers, which are the disciples. Go get them, and y'all go meet the Messiah. They went and did that. So when they went and got them, they went and met the Messiah where he was told, or where they was told to meet him. He told them what to do next, bro. He told them what to do next. One of the things he told them to do in Matthew 28, now you at the point when you get to 28:19. When he told them what to do in Matthew 28:19, he said, go out to all nations. Nations as places. Go out to all nations and teach the people. You don't know when he say nations, he talking about places like America, Spain, Greece, Portuguese, places where our people were scattered on the slave ships, bro. On the slave ships, bro. That's why you have to have the understanding of the Old Testament. You can't skip that, bro. You can't skip that. I'ma say it just like this, bro. Those people who came up out of Egypt, bro, Moses gave them laws. I gotta say this for the 28:19,000 times. Those people that came up out of Egypt, they was given laws, statutes, and commandments. Do's and don'ts. This what you can do, this what you can't do. If you don't follow the laws that God gave Moses on that mountain, I'm gonna punish you, bro. I'm gonna punish you. I'm gonna put you at the bottom of society, and everything you gonna have to go get, you gonna have to go get from an enemy, from an out. You're gonna be destitute. You're gonna be hungry. You're gonna be hungry. You're gonna be robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what's gonna happen to you. I'm gonna make that happen to you. Police brutality, all that's written in the scripture, bro. That's written in the Bible. I bet you ain't getting that in the Ethiopian Bible. I asked somebody who followed Billy Carson. I say, hey, bro, what is Billy Carson or whatever he talking about in the Ethiopian Bible? What is that plan for our people that's scattered at the bottom of society? What's the plan for our people? You know what he told me? Worry about yourself. He said, worry about yourself. That's what he said, bro. I knew then that was crack. I ain't even want to watch nothing. I knew from then that was crack. You fried. You fried. So he gave you do's and don'ts. And he told you what's going to happen if you don't. One of the things he said was going to happen to you Negroes, to you Hispanics, to you Native Americans who came up out of Egypt in slavery. One of the things he said going to happen to you if you don't listen is he going to put you on slave ships. This is in Deuteronomy. and he gonna scatter you across the whole four corners of the earth. Now, at the time he was telling you this, you was right there by Jordan, right there by Jerusalem, the same place them people is right now today. That's where you was at when he told you this. When Moses told you that, that's where you was at. How did you get here? How did you get to this land from there? Right? So we got here on slave ships. That's documented, right? That's how we got from what you would call the Jordan over there in Israel, over there in that land, Northeast Africa. That's how you got there. That's how you was there and got over here, right? That's how you got here. Now, when you read further along in the book, when the time of Christ and he had passed and came back and he told them people, hey, go out to all nations. He was not talking about actual people. He was talking about go out to the places that our people were scattered on the transatlantic slave trade or the sub-Saharan slave trade. Go out to all those nations that our people were scattered and go get the lost sheep who don't know who they are, who now think they African American, who now think they Greek. They over there doing Greek traditions when they doing the stepping and the clapping and the fraternities and all that type of stuff. They over there lost in that type of stuff. They over there in the Egyptology, walking around with the Ankh on. They over there in Islam, talking about Hamdu Allah. Go get all those people who do not know who they are, who was scattered, who was given other languages, who was given other names, who was given other doctrines. Go get those people and let them people know who they really are. That's what that really mean, bro. That's what he telling them people. That's what he telling the disciples, the Messiah himself. That's what he telling the disciples to go do in Matthew 28:19. He know you haven't read the whole Old Testament. He know you don't have the understanding. He know you don't know you the Jew of the Bible. He know you don't know you were scattered on the slave ships. You don't know who you are. You descend from those people. He know you don't know you the Israelite of the book. He know you don't know your bloodline. So he can pull off a Matthew 28:19. He is the reincarnation of your T.D. Jakes and all them other people. That's what's really going on. So if you don't really have the understanding of scripture, you have to be taught by a real prophet. Go watch IUIC or any other people that's teaching that really got the understanding, that's not just trying to be whoremongers and all. Go find you a camp or find somebody, a prophet who's teaching, bro, so you can get the understanding of what's really real, because your salvation is on the line, bro. Your salvation is on the line. Shalom.
You don't know what fire is. Not real fire. Not this kind. You don't know what fire is.